All right, welcome back. So I was supposed to film this video outside, but the weather really hasn't been ideal. It's just been cold and snows everywhere. So I've just decided to record this video inside today. And since I'm sharing my perspective on woodland photography, I thought it would be meaningful to share the foundation, really. Not so much my connection to nature, but more so my practice. And what I mean by that is how I move and how I behave in nature, which is really tied to my childhood. And one of the earliest sparks for me comes from this children's show called Little Bear. Now, if you've never seen the show Little Bear before, I would basically describe it as comfort in cartoon form. It's really that type of show. It's about this young bear growing up with his woodland friends, and they would go on these small, everyday adventures. And the show literally was just filled with so much imagination, with curiosity and relationships. It really was that show that captured that childhood charm. And just to set the scene a little bit more, for me, it felt timeless. The show had this soft, earthy, watercolor type of style to it. So the colors weren't too poppy. They were very subtle. And it was the same way with the music too. It wasn't loud. It wasn't noisy or any sharp cutoffs. It was quiet. It was welcoming. So visually, it was soft. It was this very soft, welcoming storytelling experience, which really wasn't demanding of kids' attention. I honestly felt like it was the type of show that just trusted kids to just sit still and to simply be with the story. And when I look back at the show as an adult now, that calm feels almost magical, especially compared to just how noisy the world has become today. So that sense of stillness, it's something that I've carried with me directly into how I photograph nature. After all these years, it's something that has stuck with me. And I honestly really appreciate that show. So just like the show, so just like the show Little Bear, I would say I'm drawn to just subtle, quiet moments. Nothing that's like really demanding of my attention, kind of like how I was just saying. I would basically describe like my visual language when I'm out in nature as subtle, as inviting, and never overwhelming. I think I can say that about myself. Yeah, it's honestly not about, I'm not really into capturing nature at its most grand or impressive. I honestly go out every day. I really don't care the conditions. I just try to capture nature as it is. You know, I'm really about trying to honor what it feels like to be out in nature. Yeah, and there's a lot of quiet moments out there, and when it's just me and I'm hearing the wind blow, or it's just pure quiet, the world cuts off. And I have so many moments where I've tried to describe this to friends before, but it's something I honestly feel like you just have to experience on your own. And I'm sure some of you have experienced this before too, where I'm working on this composition and I don't really notice it in the moment. Afterwards is when I really become aware of it. Is everything kind of starts to quiet. The background noise. It's like a hum, but then my brain just kind of tunes it out, and it becomes very quiet, and it's just me and what's in front of me. And I forget about my everyday worries, the world, everything just becomes an afterthought. And I'm just present in that moment. It's beautiful. That's why I think I'm just so drawn to woodland, forest, nature photography. It's peaceful, it's meditative. I honestly think so. So yeah, with that said, I would say the show taught me something that's really the central point of this video, which is patience. To me, it just goes hand in hand with nature. It's something, nature does this all the time. It's something that it just teaches without ever saying a word. It's just like you have to be there in order for you to really understand it. And I feel it's just so obvious once you step outside into the woods, the forest, a trail, even your backyard. You'll see like life, the plants, the fungi, the animals out there. No one's in a hurry, and nobody's announcing themselves. So with that in mind, I think it's important. It's really important to move at a pace that truly allows me to witness the subtle work of time. And what I mean by that too is like the layering that's happening, the erosion, the growth, the decay. All of that was brought by like that invisible force, that invisible labor of time to bring what's in front of me today. And I would say I often think of my time, it's kind of funny. Yeah, I often think of my time in the woods kind of like a date. I never rush. I never rush through it. Just like a date, you don't want to rush. You want to allow space to understand and to connect and to notice what might otherwise be missed. So it's important to pay attention not just to what's obvious, but also to what slowly kind of just reveals itself when you're present. So by giving myself that permission to slow down, to pause, and to roam and to linger, which is why I spend so many hours out there. I'm just lingering around, just looking. I'm able to absorb my surroundings more fully. My breathing slows, my posture and my gait changes. And even though they're subtle changes, they really help. They help me adjust to the constantly shifting environment, both physically and mentally. Now, as my body adapts, I begin to notice the repeating forms, how light feels, and not just how light looks. And that's important. Oof. All right, so as you can see, it's a new day. There's more light in the room. There's a snow blizzard going on outside. And so I was recording earlier, but I had to stop because my sister, she was on her way home from work. She got stuck in the snow. So me and my dad, we had to rush out. We had to help her. Thankfully, she's good now. She's home. Everything worked out. But the reason for me coming back on and just recording a little bit longer is I feel like I could have tied up yesterday's video a little bit better. And I have just a little bit more to say about the importance of patience as a woodland photographer. And this has to do with my interest in architecture and in interior design. And you might be thinking, Lance, what in the world do these topics have to do with woodland photography? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because recently, last month, I read a book, a really good book. It's called Places of the Heart. I'll show it to you now. Places of the Heart by Colin Ellard. He's a environmental psychologist. So if you're looking for something new to read or you're interested in architecture, that is a great book. But in there, he talks about how the built environment, how it carries visual information, and how our homes, the rooms that we live in, restaurants, bars, banks, hospitals, and even the parks that we go to, the streets that we walk through, all of these places have an influence on our thoughts, on our emotions, and even what's going on inside of us biochemically. Now, in that book, he references research by a cognitive psychologist called Gabriel Radvansky, and I find this very fascinating. So Radvansky describes this term called event boundaries. Now, after I explain this, you're like, that makes sense. I've experienced moments like this before. I know I have. So Radvansky describes event boundaries as these moments when the brain segments experiences. So something as simple as walking through a doorway can briefly disrupt our memory, can disrupt our attention and even our perception. So the brain treats these shifts as transitions, like kind of like a dividing line between one moment and the next. So simply walking from your bedroom to the hallway or to another room creates an event boundary, or these shifts that happen that briefly alters our memory, our attention, and our perception. And now you can kind of see where I'm going. So when we leave, or I'll talk about me. So when I'm leaving the house, there's that moment, there's that boundary that I'm crossing between the environment that's my house, that's predictable, that's contained, versus the outside world that's constantly changing. Everything about the outside world is different. It's never a continuous stream. Everything is shifting, such as the light, the textures, and the sound. Everything is always fluctuating. And this is why I'm bringing architecture into the conversation, because it's helping me understand why it's important to continue along the pathway of patience as a woodland photographer. Because when I'm out in front of a composition, the light is shifting. There are different textures that are surrounding me, and there's different animals out there. There are different sounds that I'm hearing. And even though I might not be conscious of it, it is affecting me subconsciously or unconsciously. Biochemically, this has an effect on me. So at this point, patience, it's not optional. It really is something that should always be with you. It becomes another way of seeing, or maybe it enhances the world that we're seeing. And we have one life, so why not move through it in a way where we can observe more, So I don't want to go on any further. I feel like that's kind of what I just wanted to just get out and express. I was just excited about that book and wanted to share what I learned and how I've been adopting that into my own practice as a woodland photographer. So I'll end it there. I'm going to relax and enjoy the rest of this snow day. I hope if it's snowing where you are, do the same. Relax, have some coffee, some hot cocoa. I'm going to watch The Hobbit. That's normally what I do on a snowy day. But yeah, thanks for listening, and I'll be back again. All right.